The world we live in is full of the unknown. From time to time, however, we uncover shreds of our ancient history. Sometimes they are pieces of long-lost technology, former domiciles, and more often than not, they are artifacts that we think are man-made but do not yet know their purpose. These 15 latest strange discoveries still mystify the scientific community to this day. Let's start off with number 15, the Viking runestone that warns of catastrophe. In the Swedish region of Västergötland, the Roke runestone, as they call it, has stood for over 1,200 years, etched with more than 700 runes and cloaked in mystery. Discovered in the 19th century but carved during the early 800 SCE, this stone isn't just a memorial, it's a prophecy. Researchers from the University of Gothenburg recently translated key sections of the text and found references to a coming apocalypse. The first lines speak of an eternal winter and a blood-red sky, descriptions eerily close to solar storms and volcanic ash clouds. The inscription links these signs to Norse myth, referencing Odin, Ragnarok, and the end of the world. The stone's commissioner, a chieftain named Varin, also references the Gothic king Theodoric, hinting at fears of historical collapse repeating. With evidence of a major climate crisis in 536 CE, a year with no summer, the stone reads like a cultural memory preserved in stone. Whether poetic metaphor or coded science, its warning feels strangely contemporary. Number 14. The Buddha head wrapped in roots. In the ancient city of Ayutthaya, Thailand, a 700-year-old Buddha head sits quietly embraced by the roots of a Bodhi tree inside Wat Mahathat. Once the spiritual heart of the Siamese kingdom, Ayutthaya was founded in 1350 and flourished as a cultural and religious capital until it was invaded and burned by the Burmese army in 1767. Most temples were destroyed, statues decapitated, and sacred relics scattered. How this particular Buddha head ended up nestled within the tree remains uncertain. Some believe it was placed there by a fleeing monk or hidden intentionally to protect it from destruction. Over centuries, the Bodhi roots slowly wove around the stone face, creating a haunting and revered image of serenity and survival. The statue's gentle expression, partially shaded by the curling roots, has become a symbol of resilience in Thai culture. It's not just a tourist attraction, it's a powerful reminder that even in devastation, sacredness can endure, and Mother Nature often preserves what humans nearly erase. Number 13. Soto Dolmen. The Soto Dolmen, often called the underground Stonehenge, sits in Trigueros, Andalusia. Constructed nearly 5,000 years ago, this Neolithic passage tomb is one of over 200 in Huelva province. But unlike the rest, this one stands alone, physically and architecturally. It features a long corridor leading into a circular chamber where 8 human remains were found alongside pottery, daggers, and seashells. What sets Soto apart are the symbolic etchings carved into upright stones, daggers, human forms, geometric figures, and cups, clues to the beliefs of those who built it. Discovered in 1923 by Manuel Soto, the tomb was excavated by Hugo Obermeier between 1924 and 1926. Recent studies using modern imaging revealed that over half of its stones bear pigment traces and carvings. Some were repurposed from earlier sites, and others were inscribed later. The presence of red ochre hints at ritualistic intention. Soto's tomb isn't just another burial site, it's an evolving text of the region's cultural memory and ritual practices. Number 12. The buried Assyrian deity panels. Just outside Mosul, Iraq, a forgotten canal carved more than 2,700 years ago has revealed 10 monumental stone panels depicting Assyrian gods in dramatic relief. Found along what was once an engineered waterway, the carvings show Ashur, the chief deity of the Assyrian pantheon, riding a dragon and his consort, Melissu, seated on a throne supported by a lion. Other figures include Shamash, the sun god, atop a horse, and the moon god Sin, commanding a horned lion. Each deity faces the flowing canal, as if watching over its waters. Scholars date the panels to the reign of Sargon II, who appears at both ends of the divine procession. Although the excavation began in 2012, it was paused and protected when ISIS approached the region. Archaeologists buried the site to shield it from destruction. Only in 2020 were the full panels revealed. These carvings not only survived centuries underground, but also war, looting, and extremism, standing today as rare survivors of Assyria's grandeur and cosmology. Number 11. The giant frozen bean-shaped dunes on Mars. In 2022, NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter captured an image of a surreal formation in the planet's northern polar region, bean-shaped dunes, frozen beneath a crust of carbon dioxide ice. These aren't solid rock, but sand drifts hardened temporarily by seasonal frost. They appear smooth and still, but as Martian spring arrives and the ice sublimates, they begin to shift and reshape. What makes them fascinating is their role in understanding Mars's atmospheric cycles. Unlike Earth, Mars's axial tilt changes more dramatically over time, drastically altering its climate. During extreme tilts, more carbon dioxide ice melts into vapor, thickening the atmosphere enough to potentially support liquid water, at least for brief periods. These cycles may have created windows for microbial life to emerge. Although these dunes may look strange and lifeless, they offer real clues about climate change on Mars, and by extension about its habitability. Each frozen layer, each shift in terrain, might reveal whether the red planet ever had a living past. Number 10. The colossal Norimitsu Wadachi sword. In Japan's Taki Shrine, a blade longer than a compact car rests behind glass, its lacquered scabbard stretching nearly 4 meters. Forged around 1447, the Norimitsu Dachi weighs 14.5 kilograms and gleams with the meticulous Hammond waves prized by swordsmiths. No ordinary samurai could draw, let alone swing. This steel leviathan, unsheathing it, would demand suspending the scabbard from a rafter while assistants hoisted the wielder. Some historians see a votive token announcing a clan's reach toward the gods, while others point to psychological warfare, plant an impossible weapon, and rumor will invent a matching giant. Textual hints praise titanic warriors like Benkei, yet biomechanics says even a 2-meter athlete would buckle. Regardless of motive, the craftsmanship is breathtaking: uniform carbon grain, flawless polish, and an edge still eager to bite. The Norimitsu Dachi endures not as proof of giants, but as proof that ambition alone can stretch steel beyond practical limits. Now let's head over to number 9. The Lost Pyramid of Khor. The Pyramid of Khor was once the bustling capital of a breakaway Khmer kingdom under Jayavarman IV. It was built between 921 and 944 CE, and this 7-tiered pyramid is part of a vast, isolated temple complex far less visited than Angkor Wat. What sets Khor apart isn't just its scale, it's the engineering behind it. The base spans over 216 feet, with tiers stacked upward to a height of 131 feet. Constructed without mortar, its interlocking stone blocks fit so tightly they've held firm for over a millennium. Water canals and reservoirs surround the pyramid, possibly serving as an energy amplifier, according to some modern researchers. The entire design may have functioned like a cosmic engine, using the conductivity of iron-rich volcanic rock and sandstone to harness geomagnetic forces. There's no internal chamber, no entrance, only a staircase on the west side. Whether a ceremonial monument or an ancient energy structure, Khor remains one of Southeast Asia's most enigmatic constructions. Number 8. The door-shaped rock on Mars. On May 7, 2022, NASA's Curiosity rover snapped a photo on Mars that stirred far more than scientific curiosity. A peculiar cutout in the Martian rock face, angular, shadowed, almost architectural, resembled a doorway carved into the hillside. Captured in the green-hue pediment region, the image spread fast across social media, where speculation ranged from alien dwellings to interdimensional gateways. Geologists stepped in with more grounded explanations, describing it as a result of natural fracturing caused by tectonic stress and erosion. While it looks monumental, scientists estimate the door stands no taller than a small pet, just a few centimeters high. Interestingly, the image came only days after Mars experienced its largest recorded Marsquake on May 4th. While there's no proven link between the quake and the doorway-like crack, the coincidence drew attention. Similar incidents have happened before. China's Yutu-2 rover once spotted a cube-shaped rock on the moon, which also turned out to be an ordinary stone. Still, these oddities keep the Martian mystery alive. What do you think about it? Number 7. The Casa Grande Mystery. Rising unexpectedly in the Arizona desert, the Casa Grande ruins are the legacy of the Hokum civilization, a people whose story is still largely untold. Constructed around 1350 CE, the four-story adobe structure, known as the Great House, resembles a prehistoric apartment block. It stands in the center of a larger compound that includes auxiliary buildings and protective walls. Despite extensive archaeological research, the original purpose of this architectural marvel remains uncertain. Some suggest it functioned as a solar observatory, its sightlines aligned with celestial events. Others believe it was ceremonial, administrative, or even a regional hub for trade. No inscriptions, tools, or written records have been found to offer a definitive explanation. What intensifies its mystery is the sudden abandonment around 1450 CE. Many suspect that severe drought, environmental collapse, or social unrest forced the Hokum to disperse. The Casa Grande ruins remain a ghost of something complex, an engineering feat still standing in silence, defying easy answers from the modern AI-obsessed world. Number 6. The Temple Without Columns. Behind the imposing ruins of Temple C in ancient Selinunte, once a thriving Greek city on Sicily's southwestern coast, archaeologists recently unearthed something baffling. A newly revealed temple, measuring about 2/3 the size of nearby Temple R, lacks the most iconic feature of early Greek design: columns. There's no colonnade, no outer row of pillars framing its outline, just walls and a layout that disrupts everything we know about 6th century BCE religious architecture. What purpose this structure served, or why its builders deviated so drastically, remains unclear. The mystery deepens with the discovery of a circular stone well and an array of ritual items, including a deliberately damaged iron spear point. These artifacts hint at purification rites or ceremonial events tied directly to the temple's function. Perhaps this was a sacred space that operated outside traditional forms, built not to impress with grandeur, but to serve a specific purpose. Whatever the case, it's a rare deviation in Greek architectural canon and a puzzle still unsolved. Number 5. Molten iron poured onto ancient Roman roads. The roads of Pompeii have survived volcanic fury, centuries of erosion, and now scientific re-evaluation. Recently, researchers uncovered evidence that Roman engineers repaired cracked stone roads with molten iron. Analysis of several street segments revealed iron residues precisely layered into worn gaps. This method, remarkably advanced for its time, required heating scrap iron beyond 2000 degrees Celsius, suggesting the existence of high-efficiency furnaces nearby. Once melted, the iron was carried by slaves and poured into the damaged stretches where it cooled, hardened, and formed seamless joints. This form of road maintenance, while costly, proved durable. Some repaired routes are still intact. The find not only shows Roman innovation in infrastructure, but also hints at technical capabilities not previously credited to ancient engineers. How they reached such temperatures and transported molten material across city streets remains debated. But one thing is certain, their approach to urban design wasn't just functional, it was ahead of its time, mixing metallurgy to create roads that outlasted empires. Number 4. The Mammoth Bone Structure. In Russia's Kostenki region, archaeologists uncovered a circular structure built from the bones of at least 60 woolly mammoths, along with remains of foxes, reindeer, bears, and wolves. Measuring 36 feet in diameter, the structure dates back roughly 20,000 years, placing it deep within the last ice age. This isn't just a pile of bones, it's an engineered space that likely had a roof made of hide stretched over the ribcage like walls. Some of the bones were still articulated, suggesting they retained flesh when used, meaning the structure may have reeked of decaying meat. That detail raises questions. Was this a food cache for survival, a ritual site, or something more symbolic? No one knows for certain. The presence of so many different animals and the labor required to build it suggests this wasn't casually made. It was purposeful. It may have served as shelter, storage, or a ceremonial center during brutally cold months. Well, either way, it's one of the most striking and scary Ice Age constructions ever discovered. Number 3. The $650 billion Nazi treasure hidden in the woods. In the forests of Bavaria, a long-rumored Nazi treasure worth over $650 billion has re-entered public debate. Hans Glick, 76, claims he located the stash using a Soviet-seized map tied to SS commanders. The hoard allegedly contains gold, diamonds, silver, and looted artwork, hidden during the final days of World War II under Heinrich Himmler's orders. Glick believes it was buried to evade Allied seizure, with plans to recover it once the Third Reich revived. However, the forest owner has blocked excavation, insisting on sole rights. Historical links trace back to Nazi officer Emil Kulch-Brunner, captured in Austria with 167 pounds of gold buried in his backyard. He was executed days later, and the full extent of Nazi plunder remains undocumented. Despite international interest, legal gridlock and ownership disputes have stalled any official dig. Whether a myth inflated over time or a hidden vault waiting beneath forest soil, the treasure's existence remains suspended, buried not just in earth, but in decades of secrecy. Number 2. What are jumbos? All the mysteries we've covered so far earned their place through years of confusing scientists, but a discovery made just last year reminds us that many enigmas still lie ahead, true unknown unknowns rather than just known unknowns. This one came courtesy of JWST, a set of Jupiter mass binary objects or jumbos. Astronomers identified 40 jumbo pairs, completely unattached to any star, drifting in a star-forming region of the Orion Nebula, roughly 1,350 light-years from Earth. Their existence is a problem. As Mark Makarian from the European Space Agency explained, they're not stars, and even with planetary mass, they don't behave like planets either. The formation issue is key. Smaller stars rarely form as binaries. Only about 25% of the tiniest stars appear in pairs, so for Jupiter mass objects, finding 40 binaries in one nebula seems impossible. If jumbos formed like planets, they'd be born in star systems, but violent ejection would have separated them. The fact that they remain in pairs means something else entirely is happening, and no one's cracked it yet. It's like the dark energy. Number 1, the vanishing mahogany ship of Australia. Off the coast of Warrnambool lies a maritime legend that has refused to fade: the mahogany ship. First sighted in 1836 by 3 stranded men, the wreck was described as dark-toned and unlike any known vessel of that time. Believed to be constructed from mahogany, a wood rarely used in traditional shipbuilding, it was never seen again after that initial encounter. Later claims placed the ship at various locations, but every search ended with nothing. Reports persisted throughout the 19th century, describing a ghostly vessel that appeared and vanished mysteriously along Armstrong Bay. Some historians speculate it may have been a Spanish or Portuguese ship from the early 1500s, potentially rewriting European exploration history in Australia. Despite numerous expeditions and a cash reward offered in 1992 by the Victorian government, the wreck has never been recovered. Whether a real galleon or folklore born from shifting sands and coastal fog, the mahogany ship continues to haunt Australia's maritime history. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.